Hi, welcome to Africa Climate Trends, a cross project presented by myself, Sarah Namiro. Just like other parts of the world, Africa has had an increase in its temperature. Africa had an increase of 0.2 degrees Celsius in the early 20th century and 0.3 degrees Celsius in 1990 to 2021. However, these changes haven't been similar across the landscape. They varied according to different geographical areas. According to the UN, there are 5 regions in Africa, that is to say, Eastern Africa, Northern Africa, Western Africa, Middle Africa, and Southern Africa. That brings us to the objective of this study, which is to document the regional climate trends that drive local climatic responses and weather occurrences. This will be achieved by analyzing climate trends for mean annual average temperature, total annual precipitation, mean annual maximum temperature, and mean annual minimum temperature over time for the different regions of Africa. For this project, the data was obtained from meteorological stations as shown in the maps, the 4 maps. The first map shows the mean annual average temperature, and then the second shows the minimum, the third shows the maximum, and the last one shows the stations used in precipitation. This data covered the period of 1900 to 2022 for the temperature and 1900 to 2010 for precipitation. The data sources were Global Historical Climatology Network version 4 and 3 and the Global Monthly Weather Station Database by Castells, Acuna, and Haman. The monthly data obtained from the datasets was imported to R and cleaned up. It was further imported to QGIS and formatted by geographical region. It was imported back to R and Excel to develop exploratory graphs and statistical summaries. Here below, this table shows is an example of a dataset for precipitation. The orange column shows the ID, the yellow column the year, the gray area is the monthly data, the blue is the total annual precipitation calculated as the sum of these, and the region is represented by the purple column. For results, we have trends in mean annual average temperature. According to the line graph, there is high variation between the regions due to the distinct lines for each of the region that are not increasingly overlapping. And there is also variation within the regions. For instance, within this line graph, it's not a straight line, implying that there is variation annually, year to year. There is also an observed increase from the year, especially the year around 1975 for all the regions, an increase in the mean annual average temperature for all the regions. Looking at this summary data table is an interesting figure, is the mean, max, and standard deviation in degrees Celsius. The standard deviation, especially for Middle Africa, was the highest, implying that Middle Africa, colored tan, had the highest change within the region of the mean annual average temperature. We also have trends for the total annual precipitation. There is variation within the regions, seeing as they have distinct lines. There is also variation within each region as they're not straight lines. Middle Africa had the highest total annual precipitation and Northern Africa had the lowest. This is probably due to the land cover types in the areas, seeing as Northern Africa is predominantly desert and dryland, whereas Middle Africa is predominantly forest. There was also increase for the regions of Western, Middle, and Eastern Africa in the periods 1975 and beyond, shown by the slight increase, the increasing trend line. The summary table has the minimum, maximum, and standard deviation of the total annual precipitation in millimeters, and Middle Africa had the highest change due to the high standard deviation value. These are the references for my study. Thank you very much.